Hi, I'm Paul Catalanato, and this is my friend and colleague Hamp Overton. This is 100 Scariest, where we are looking for the scariest short streaming online. In this episode, we're talking about 2018's Peephole, written and directed by Jaron Henry McCrae. This less than 4 minute short stars Tim Lukey in the roles of man and evil twin. Hamp came across this film while researching shorts for the show. The IMDb logline reads, "A man answers a knock at the door." The film can be found on the Jash Pictures Incorporated YouTube channel, where you can find many other films by the filmmakers. Great pick, Hamp. What made you bring it up?
Pure luck. Just found it. But I enjoyed it a lot, and I thought you'd enjoy it also. So here we are, having watched it.
I really did enjoy this. I'm a sucker for a simple premise that feels like could happen. I mean, I have a peephole in my door. All my apartments when I was in film school had peepholes in it.
Yeah,
You
that's true.
know, I love a short that where it's just people are hanging around and we're like, man, we need to shoot a movie. Okay, what are we going to shoot about? Well, peepholes are scary. All right, let's make a movie about peepholes being scary because that's really what it feels like in the
It
greatest
does.
possible way.
And I think the director probably would laugh when he heard you say that because having watched some of his other movies, it seems like he does that with every film. Like, hey, I got this squishy thing that makes noise, and he uses that concept to make a video out of it. And then some other time he'll go, huh, I never noticed that in my medicine cabinet before, and he'll make a movie out of it. So he just finds it's actually kind of interesting to see because it's a great idea to how do you come up with ideas? And what he does is he comes up with a simple idea and then he just builds upon it. And that's a very classic way of creating a story is to come up with something ordinary and go, well, how do we make this out of the ordinary? And that's what he did. Everyone has a peephole on their door. And of course, you can also look at it from sort of uh, a horror movie perspective, as in, what do you see on the other side of the peephole? And he really played around with that quite a bit, and I really enjoyed it because of that.
Likewise, and I thought it was well shot too. At 2018, by today's standards, I can tell the technology, the camera isn't what some of the other shorts we've looked at. You can tell that it's a little aged, but I think that in the best way. I loved his wide shots and how he got the whole room. Like, he just establishes the whole room, and what's right there over his shoulder is the door. Like, and then there's that light coming through the peephole
Right,
so
under
that the
his eye.
peephole is
Right.
always obvious. Like, I mean, those little touches really add up.
He really is a master of his craft, I have to say that. And it was fun that he's put so much stuff on his YouTube channel because you can go back, I think, 18 years and look at stuff that he was doing in college. And it's fun, it's entertaining, but you can really see how his skill has developed and he's honed it. And so it's a whole different film being made today than what he originally started out with. And that's fun to see that evolution not only of storytelling but also of the technical skills and things like that.
So, from a craft point of view, do you know the thing that I appreciated most in this movie? Is the light in his eyes when he looks through the peephole.
Ah, right.
I don't know why that little bit, because like when you look through a peephole, you don't really nothing. You don't. There's no luminance on your eyes. You're just looking through, and most often that area is very dark. But he recognized that, so he's obviously putting a light right through there. But I love how everything's dark, but we see just the light right around the rings of his eyes.
Yeah, he really does create quite an ambiance. You think about it, the TV is the only, implied source of light in the room. And then, he has to walk across. And that's really tricky. When you only have one source of light, how do you light other parts when people are turning away from it? And so, oh, let's put some light through the people, that type of thing. So, yeah, it really was. And I think he's his own cinematographer in this one. And so it really does work well. Because I know that if you tried to shoot that television screen and have it illuminate the actor, it probably wouldn't work. You wouldn't have the latitude on your camera to still be able to see the screen and have the illumination on the actor also. Maybe it did, but again, this movie's what was it from 2018, if I'm not mistaken? And so uh, to try and have the actor lit just by the TV would be tough to do these days. You'd have to maybe use add a light source somewhere, or maybe you would have to replace the TV screen with the actual screen that you want. So he did a lot of stuff to make up for it, and you only learn this through experience. And I think that's what his many years of experience has taught him, his skill in crafting the movie as well as in telling the story.
Just looking at it, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like one China ball or one LED light set to a blue temp.
Well, it's very directional, clearly,
Yeah.
because the rest of the room is dark, and so yeah, he could have blued it up in post, but yeah, there's no color anywhere, which is interesting. He's watching a black and white image, if I'm not mistaken. The dancing scene is black and white. The main character is wearing a white shirt and black pants, and so it's very monochromatic, the whole story. So I assume that was by design, but maybe it's just luck. So.
Nah, I think there's enough here to where I know. Because the other reason I say that it's that kind of light, I look at like where things are shiny, like the blinds. You can see like the shine in them. I think if I had to guess, there's only one light. And if I had to say that TV, I mean, he put the TV image in post because it's not. Of course, it's an LCD screen, so it wouldn't flicker, but it wouldn't be that bright.
What probably was would be yeah, it probably had to be done. But I think
Yeah.
you were getting to the weeds here. Talking.
Yeah, but no, but it's worth it. That's what I'm saying. I love simple stuff like this. Like again, like one of my major units of do I like something or is if it's worth talking about. If a student brought me this, would I give them an A on it? And this is an absolute yes. I would totally give them an A and be proud that they made it in a class that I was doing. Or if
Did
I
it?
myself was by myself and made this, I would be happy with this result.
Well, that's what's fun about this film. I like that we do reviews of movies like this because they are within the ability of what a student could pull off with the equipment they had. Um, it's not huge sets. It's not lots of CGI going on. It's very straightforward. But it's the craft of putting it together that really makes it such a good film. I mean, you could let someone else have this same script and it could kind of look cheap or just the
Mhm.
timing doesn't work. So it's clear that he's really has gotten very, very good as a filmmaker. And so it's fun to see that that he takes a single idea, which I'm guessing he probably watched this thing on TV, that dancing thing,
Hmm.
sort of wondering about it, and maybe said, "Oh, this is kind of interesting. How can I make this into a film?" And so then he sort of like lets his mind spin and go in different directions, and and then the knock at the door. I'm not sure why there's a knock at the door. I guess he has to get there somehow. Because when you try and break down and logically think about any horror movie, you go, wait a minute, that doesn't. But what works so well about this is that it moves at such a good pace. It's not hurried, but it's not slow, and so you're engrossed, and you want to see what happens, so you stay around to the end to watch the whole thing.
I got to pick on you. Well, usually people knock on the door to get your attention. Come look through the door.
Well, why did this creature do it? If it's not even facing him, it's facing, and why does it disappear when he opens the door and then knock again and then how does it come inside? Why?
Yeah, true.
So,
Well, maybe that's what he lets. But again, you were just talking, our off-camera banter about framing, right?
hmm
Well, if you notice, when he's sitting on the couch, it's got a very nice wide shot where it frames the door in the far right corner. He then pays that off later when his double is in the apartment with him. It's the same framing, but from over his shoulder, and the double is now in the middle of the room
the
where the
other
door would
direction.
be.
hmm
So he does the reverse of what we see. Do you understand? Did that come out right? Did that make
I'm
sense? So
I
the
had to
wide shot that establishes the door at the beginning, he
right.
does the very same shot from the door's point of view
Got
when the
just the other
double is
direction.
in the apartment.
hmm
stuff like that. Like that's a very cool little thing. Maybe he didn't intend that, but I find it hard to believe he didn't.
No,
Maybe it
he,
was just space. Like, well, I got to put the camera out the door and shoot, but it's really a cool addition later.
yeah, I see what you're saying. Looking at the other shot right here. It's fun, right? Okay, I said the guy had black pants. He doesn't. He has blue pants. Um, yeah, he has a good eye for composition. He really puts things together very well. So I wonder if he's actually looking through the peephole or if he used some other distorted lens to get that shot.
I read in a critique of it that that's a distorted lens when he's
Mhm.
looking outside.
Could be. Could be a really, really wide fisheye lens.
Yeah, that's what I read that he did. I love to, and things that you don't do in real life that you do in horror movies. When he sees it and he sees that it reacts to his movements, he starts just dancing instead of being freaked out, right? And he just starts dancing with it.
Right, right. Well, that's fun because it's what it kind of does is it sort of lets your guard down, which is
Hmm.
fun, because the music starts back up. He doesn't hit unmute on the TV, but the music starts back up, and kind of again, your guard goes down, and then the bad thing happens right then and there.
What's funny is this one's very close to another short you and I really like, Ballerina.
I have a note of that right here. Right, exactly. Where it's the old doppelganger, and I kind of looked into doppelgangers a bit. And movies like you can look at Black Swan fairly recently. She sort of envisions a doppelganger also in that. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a famous doppelganger one. The movie Us, even more recently, that has doppelgangers in it. So it is a subgenre of horror films to have a doppelganger in there. And as he calls it, evil, what's he called it? Evil, I forgot what his name was.
Was it Evil Tim, was it?
Yeah, whatever the character's name is, the other one's Evil Tim. Yeah, I
It
had
was
another
something
name.
like that. I'm
Yeah,
guessing it was Evil Tim. No, Evil Twin.
Evil Twin. That's what it was.
Yes, it was Evil
Yeah.
Twin.
Hmm.
We're confusing because his name is Tim. But but the thing is it's more similar than even that, right? Because the doppelganger in Ballerina was able to control in the same way.
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
It's just
It's
interesting, and both shorts didn't have any dialogue,
right. Right.
and both shorts only had one actor, and both actors played
Both characters.
and the bad guy. So it's interesting.
Mhm. But they both worked. I wasn't when I watched this one. I didn't say, "Oh, another movie like Ballerina." Instead,
Mhm.
it was fresh and original, and so it's fun that you can take an idea that's similar, and make it your own by adding your own uniqueness to it and things like that.
What's funny is now in my mind I did compare them. Now and I like to see how you feel about this. I did think there were things that this one did better, and I did think there were things that
Ballerina.
Ballerina did better.
Hmm.
I thought Ballerina had the better ending,
Okay.
but I thought Peephole had cooler framing.
Good composition.
Yeah, I
But
really, really enjoyed the way he made the peephole supernatural.
you love that people,
I
huh?
really do. I really do. Because it's an easy thing. Like, you talk to filmmakers all the time. It's one of those easy things to where you could forget to make it special. You could forget to give the audience something to grab onto. There's just enough attention to it to make it special and to make it important.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe look, I mean, maybe I'm too infatuated with the people. I don't know. Maybe there's a problem there.
Well, this to go into another little direction a little bit, something else that this movie did that a lot of horror movies do is it's something referred to as a threshold horror movie and what we call the vulnerability of the threshold. And that is that he's viewing the doppelganger behind the door. The door represents safety. That's the
Mm.
threshold right there, and he has the door closed. And horror movies do this. They will They will use this idea of, if you think about Portrait of God does something a little bit different in something that we call liminal space, which is the space between two realms,
Hmm.
a life and death, that type of thing. But back towards the threshold, the threshold is very ancient, as in this door is what keeps us safe inside, and the creature penetrates the door. He opens it at one point. Is that when it gets in? And you know what reminded me of? It reminded me of a little film that you made also, where someone opens the door, and that lets the person in. The threshold has been broached, and so this is something that horror films will do and take advantage of. And we all believe we're safe in our home, and once that threshold has been broken, then that's when the horror really comes inside, and that makes us really scared.
Now that you say that, there are a lot of horror films that do that. I have heard of the threshold horror. I've heard of that. But I've not thought about it with this movie, and it's very interesting. I wonder, I can't imagine too many filmmakers are thinking about that when they're making these movies.
It's a
That's
good question.
interesting.
Maybe they are. A lot of times, filmmakers just absorb this information by watching other movies and reading stuff, and they go, "Oh, it'd be scary is if the creature can only get in if it's invited inside." I'd rather, they, of course, referring to Dracula, and of course, we just saw, you know, movies that take advantage of that all the time.
Because I do remember the movie you and I made, and that I definitely was not considering that when I put that in there. I can tell you that.
You weren't thinking about the vulnerability threshold?
No, I was not.
I remember
Yeah.
when you did that, and you said, "Let's put the camera way up high." I'm like, why you want to go way up high? Well, that's how the creature gets in. Is this above her? Is that? I was like, ah, okay.
We're gonna put sound effects later.
hmm So when she
And
opens
then
the
we didn't
door,
do that. So thankfully
no, we
we
didn't.
shot it the
Right,
other
right.
way because we didn't even do what I said I was gonna do.
And one other thing that worked really well, I liked in it, is he really knows how to use audio very, very well. I mean, this film wouldn't have been nearly as successful without the great use of audio. He starts off with the dancing jig. He gets muted. He looks at the creature a couple of times, and when he starts dancing, the music comes back in again. And then when the static and everything goes dark, and the creature's inside, it's all scary. And then the creaky noises as he moves across. The sound generation and the sound design is very well done in this film. And I had to laugh. Obviously, sound is important to him. Did you watch his movie called? Which one was it? Croak, was it? No, Gramped. Did you watch Gramped by any
I did
chance?
not.
Okay, Gramped is listed as 11 minutes. And when you watch it, the movie's over in 3 or 4 minutes. And then you're like, and there's this black screen. You're going, what is going on here? And then he starts putting text up on the screen. And he said, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what his, his video said. He said, this is going on longer because I'm playing a certain frequency of audio at this point that you may or may not be able to hear. And by doing this, it will change how YouTube amplifies the music in my video. So in my previous video that you just watched, the jump scares will be more frightening because they'll be louder. And and so he plays this black, and then he starts to wander off and talk about other things. And then suddenly he goes into a behind the scenes thing, which I don't want to spoil it for you, but you should check it out where you actually see him making the movie with the actor and stuff like that. But I thought it was very interesting that he clearly, again, I'm assuming he's being straight about how YouTube does audio, that he has learned this and he understands and investigates and builds his soundtracks uh, so that they succeed very well in his horror films.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
It's funny because that's a thing you can get away with on YouTube. Could you imagine watching a feature length movie and you get to the
Can't
end of
stop.
it and it's just this black text telling you that all right, this is for the sound. And you're like,
Yeah,
what,
but
what am I watching here?
how many Marvel movies have you watched in the theater and stayed to the end of the credits? Because,
True. I have done that.
yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious. I mean, I think YouTube works best when you're trying to experiment.
Hmm.
You know, you talk about threshold horror. One of the things that I came away with is the fear of being alone,
That's an interesting point, right? So
which is a
how's it explored here?
well, I mean, I think I think I have a friend who constantly say humans are pack animals and we want to be in groups. That's just something he says. And I usually roll my eyes because I'm like, sometimes I really just want to read a book by myself. But this does fall in line with that horror film like Ballerina, like the one with the video game where you're by yourself and
Hmm.
this fear that, if I'm by myself, no one knows I'm here. I could disappear and no one will ever know what happened to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's, the crux of so many horror movies is, you get your person or your group of people and then you trap them, you isolate them, and then you release a monster on them. That's everything from Friday the 13th to, a movie like Aliens or any of these movies where you can't get out. You have horror movies on ships,
Hmm.
on derelict ships floating in the ocean. They can't get off of it anyway. They're trapped there with the monster or the spirit or whatever it is. So,
But what's interesting too, and maybe even as a final thought for me on this movie is, you know, I can remember at one time people thought technology would make it harder to make horror films because now that you have a cell phone or, there are eyes everywhere, it's harder to be alone in today's technological world. And what's funny is I can remember that argument. And now, I look at these movies online, I feel like we are lonelier than ever, and it's even easier to disappear than it ever was.
right, right. And of course, the old trick is always go out in the woods and, oh, I don't have cell coverage. My phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even saying that, like, I mean, I was just in the middle of town the other day trying to find a job, and for some reason, my cell phone decided not to work. Maps wouldn't work, and I couldn't call or anybody. And I mean, I'm surrounded by people.
So when you wish you had your old fold out AAA map so you could.
Man, I gotta tell you, if I was traveling in those days, I don't think I would have made it.
You did. I did, back in those days. My parents belonged to AAA, and before I'd go cross country to go to college, we'd swing by the AAA office and they would give you all the maps you need along all the different states, and then you get the book that had the travel guide. Oh, here's Eastern United States, and here's Southern United States, and it had motels and restaurants and things like that in it. Old school.
Well, I will say this: the first time I ever went to UNO for my first walk through of the campus, I didn't have maps, and what I had to do was go to Yahoo, put in two destinations, and print up the directions. And that's what I followed on these stack of papers. Okay, I turn here.
Didn't use MapQuest.
Yeah, oh, I guess that's what it was, MapQuest, huh?
Oh yeah,
You had to print it up.
yeah, print it up.
Yep, and that was kind of the first time, yeah, I can still remember doing that. Oh, I hated that so much. It's so much better when they're like, in 5 miles, turn left.
Yeah.
300 feet, turn left. It's awesome.
Hey, I did want to talk a little bit about his other movie, Hey Babe.
Sure.
This is something that I tell my students all the time. I enjoyed the film. It's a film about a guy who discovers a green bottle in his cabinet, and his girlfriend or wife is like, "So throw it away," and you can't throw it away. It's still there.
I love when he drinks it.
And he
Like,
drinks it, right?
what world? Why did he drink it?
Exactly. It's like the director like thinking, "This is going nowhere. Just drink it. All right." Well, they do kind of thing like the bottle sort of, makes them do it. But what's interesting is I looked at it showed that it was screened at the Indian Film Festival. And the reason it was screened there is because both the lead actors are Indian. The director and the writer, he's not Indian, but the actors are Indian. And this is something I try to tell my students when they make their movies is that you want to get it in as many festivals as possible. And what angle or what position does your film have that is unique? I know that when you've made your horror shorts, Paul, you've submitted to horror festivals, specifically horror festivals. It's like, why go to a big festival when there's all these great horror festivals? And then you have a better chance of getting in, better chance of winning a prize, that kind of stuff. And I think they took the same strategy here. They said, oh, we have two great, and the actors are very good in this film. I think they're probably the best out of all his films is these two actors here. And they're both Indian, and the festival was in Los Angeles, so let's submit here. And they got in and did very well there. Right? So that was interesting that he took advantage of that also. Right?
That movie's quite hilarious. Like, it's not a very serious movie at all.
No, no, it's obviously tongue in cheek and having fun with it.
It's funny because it's so tongue in cheek, it's not nowhere near scary.
Hmm.
Whereas this movie did leave a creeping feeling with me. That movie there, I knew it. Like I was just waiting. I knew he was going to be over the shoulder at the end and go, "Hey, babe." That
Yeah.
was so funny.
And I was just thinking, oh, I know exactly how this movie got the genesis of it was his wife said at some point, why do you always say hey babe to me all or something? 'Cause that's about all that character says is hey babe, which is pretty funny.
And he makes it to where it goes from even or aggravating for the viewer all the way around to where it's funny.
Hmm.
I did enjoy it though. I did enjoy that. I mean, I don't think it's this short here, Peephole. I mean, if you look on his channel, this dwarfs anything he's done on the channel by
Yeah, and that's
leaps and
that's
bounds.
interesting. It's got 10 million views. Now, of course, it is a little bit older than Hey Babe. Hey Babe just came out with only 13,000 views. Um, but it's again something I tried to see if people, because sometimes these shorts get a boost when they're showcased on another channel, like a horror channel that has a lot of viewers and stuff like that. I couldn't see that it was. Maybe it was somewhere. I wasn't aware of it. But something either attracted people to this, or it got boosted somehow, or they just liked the film better than the other ones. I'm not sure. So,
And that's interesting. It's all that's the other thing that's interesting to me because like it doesn't spill to the other movies. Because his movie before that, filmed for Fright Fest Popo. Oh no, that's a promo.
yeah.
I'm just looking here, and like none of the other ones have the same pull. Like the one that was due 2 years afterwards, Debt,
Mm-hmm.
460,000. Then 3 years ago, Cheeseburger,
Mm-hmm.
7,800. I mean, you're getting views, but they're not coming in the same way, which I find interesting in itself.
Yeah, yeah, that had a good number of views, 500,000, which is good. But yeah, it's not the 10 million that people had. So I'm not sure why it resonated better with people than the other ones, or what gave it its boost. Um, I don't know. Maybe the
Well,
filmmaker can tell us.
yeah, what's interesting too is like there's no spillover.
Well, I think there is some, because if you look before his movies, they didn't have nearly like close to 10 million, and then the movie that directly followed this had 500,000. That's a pretty good spillover right there.
But they don't keep going, is what I'm saying. Like you would think with
Right.
10
There's that.
million, like the percentage that would have went to the promo, then to some of his other stuff, would have picked up. But I mean, the internet is fickle, to say the least. It's fickle.
Yep.
There's no rhyme or reason. It takes a lot of luck, and it takes the right mixture of movie, and then you end up with a success. And then you need a little bit more luck to have that same success get you to a professional, opportunity.
Right. And it's important to note also that um, at some point, it's not just about making good films. It's promotion, it's advertising, it's keeping your name out there. If you have a good PR person that can get you interviewed on websites that talk about horror shorts, that's going to help a lot. If you can get your horror short in festivals, that's going to help a lot. So there's other things that can occur, and it's a full-time job. And if people making these movies from some of the interviews we had, they're already working full-time jobs. And so to put something else on top of it, it's a lot of work to do that. So,
It
yeah,
is.
yeah.
You know, you're not wrong. So a couple of the comments here. 1 month ago, wow, 10 million views. Thanks for watching Peephole, peeps. Guess could celebrate by making a half-ass behind the scenes. Yeah,
That'd be great if you did.
I actually would appreciate that.
I would too.
Moral of the story, ignore your own clone whenever you see it. That's actually true from several movies we've watched.
Absolutely. Stay away from your doppelganger.
See, one more. It was a very original concept. I can imagine a whole movie that has something to do with clones and puppets. All right. I like that.
Well, yeah, that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, right? You know, I mean, there's no puppets in it, but they take you away and make a new person, a pod person replaces you. So,
Doesn't it take your body though? It like consumes your body and makes a
it
clone
does.
of you?
Yeah. It makes a clone, but does not, you don't get to hang around and watch it be with your
Yeah,
clone.
because it like uses your body as kind of fuel or
I
something.
guess it does. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Because I think about the thing, right, where it creates an exact duplicate of you, but it
Right.
eats you cell by cell and then recreates a perfect copy.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Concur.
terrifying movie. That
Yep.
that to me, still to this day, the thing is the gold star of movies like
And
that.
I just learned that it was not popular when it first came out.
Oh, we cannot go down that rabbit hole because we'll have a whole nother episode.
All right.
I can talk about that movie ad nauseum. Like
It's an
it'll get sad.
it's a great film though. You're right.
It is.
John
Here,
Carpenter's
did you know
fine.
there was a whole B story with
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell at as a helicopter pilot in Nam?
Oh, I didn't know
They
that.
cut it out. They cut it out because they realized being trapped was better. Like if you were, because they wanted to open the movie up, and that would have been terrible.
Yeah, it works because it's not opened up. They're trapped in that spot, and that's what works so well. Again, that's the classic thing is you trap people and you release a monster on them. That's the classic horror movie trope that you have right there.
There's a documentary coming out about that movie really in very soon. I do want to watch that. Well, Hamp,
Okay.
what's next?
Next we're gonna watch a movie called Still Life, and this one's a little bit older, from 2005, by John Knott. And I'm looking forward to watching it again. I know you haven't seen it, but it's a very interesting film, and it really took me by surprise, and I enjoyed how the whole movie came together.
I would have been in film school around the time of that movie.
You couldn't have even made this movie, Paul. You still had so much to learn.
I think I was just starting film school.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just was accepted. Y'all made the mistake of letting me in, and now look at the result. All right. Well, this was a great episode. That was Peephole. All right. I'm Paul. This is Hamp. Great pick. Tune in next time. If you got a horror short you want us to check out, like, subscribe, and share it. Thanks so much. See you next time.